This is an Ellis Mowers and More small engine repair. Stay connected on Instagram and Facebook at Ellis Mowers and More. Comments or questions? Leave them below or email me, ellis@ellismowers.com. Parts used in today's repair are found using the links in the description below. And as always, like and subscribe for more small engine content. Well, today we're going to work on this GT1554 Cub Cadet. This was a free mower. My friend gave it to me. He got a John Deere zero turn and just didn't want to deal with tire kickers and low ballers trying to mess with him when it came to selling something that needed a little bit of work. What this needs that I know of is it needs something with the coils. What's going on is I think when the engine gets warm, it will start breaking down the coils. This has got the 26, 27 horsepower Kohler Courage in it from 2006. Those I'm pretty sure had the 12 volt coils on them, and from what I understand, they are notoriously troublesome. What I think I'm gonna do is get the whole kit. Like, I don't have any money in this right now except for the time and money spent to go get it. So the kit's like around $130 or so. I think we might put it on this. And first, I want to see what's going on with it, if I can get it to misfire. And then once I troubleshoot it, we'll see what route we take. I think we're going to go that route. We'll see over the course of this video. Other things that need fixing on this, there's a typical spot right here I'll show you in just a second when we walk around the mower. But apart from that, I don't think it needs anything else. I had to put a battery in it because the battery was about 5 years old. But I think we'll be okay after that. Let me give you a walk around and then we'll see what we need to do in order to get this ignition function to be working properly again. So we'll walk around this. This is not a shaft drive, this is a belt drive. But it does have the garden tractor tires on it. Got the little front push bar bumper. It's got around 330 hours or so. I got to keep that turned because the brake doesn't work. Or the park brakes. Well, you can lock the park brake, but you can't unlock it very easily. Very common on these Cub Cadets. For some reason, I don't know if it's because the grass of the tire builds up in this area, or if the way that the blades are, the grass just shoots it right here and gets all clumped up, rusted this area out. We're going to see if we can patch that area. It is kind of trying to encroach on the front mount here. I'm going to try and cut it around right there and around that mount and put a nice piece of steel here. Because the rest of the deck, while it ain't perfect, it's got a little bubbling in the middle there and a little bit of a hole right here on the side, which I'll probably patch up with some, with a little bit of a piece of steel too. The rest of it, from what I can tell, is in pretty good shape. So that's a good thing. When we look under the hood, this has got one of them car type hoods on it. 27 horsepower Kohler Courage from 2006. This, I believe, is the first year that they put Kohler Courage engines in machines. I think it's the first year. New battery in it, like I mentioned, 330 hours. He takes care of his stuff. So he used the mower most of last season. He just was ready to upgrade to a John Deere zero turn. That's all that happened here. So we'll crank it up. got your armrests and all. It's a little slow to start, but nothing ridiculous. So we got to do a little bit of testing on this. This would not be right of me to just flip this thing and sell it as is. We're going to do this thing right. We're going to fix the rust hole in the deck. Biggest thing is I want to see what's going on with the engine and why it's running like it is. It runs good now. I want to see if I can get it to misfire on us. And then I think what I'm going to do, and he even suggested I can swap the coils and see if it follows the cylinder. And if it does, I might just isolate and put a new coil on this. Or I'm wondering if the module is starting to go on it. But if it's only one cylinder, we'll see. We'll see. I do know that $130 would fix the problem for good, though. So we'll see what route I take. So we're now under the hood, and I think it's pretty telling what needs to happen here. Just from a visual inspection, let me grab a light. So he told me that the right one would die out no matter what. And just from a visual inspection, you can see that there's quite a bit of rust on this ignition coil. In a few places, it's actually in worse shape than the one on the left. So that would kind of make sense. Because you can see all that scaliness and stuff right here. And a little bit of scraping right there on the top of the ignition coil. So just from a visual inspection, I thought this was a 12-volt coil. And it kind of looks like it. But it almost looks like this is the parent coil. So you got red wires that go somewhere. Almost to like this ignition module. Is that where it's going? Let's see. Well, the wires are kind of pinched here too, so I don't know if that would have anything to do with it. But yeah, I'm almost positive, because this goes to this ignition module here. And so pretty sure these are the 12-volt coils. With what I have in this mower, which currently is $0, and with the shape that it's in, considering that if I do this and all I have to do, oh, we got some cracked valve covers here too. With the deck, I'm thinking that I'm just going to go ahead and bite the bullet and order some ignition coils for this and do the whole retrofit kit. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a little bit more of an inspection, just to doubly and triply, I guess if that's a word, make sure that's what we need to do here. My guess is that I have this ignition module here. I guess that's what you'd call it. And it could be something breaking down in this ignition coil, or it could be something breaking down in this module. I'm thinking it's the coil, but I think the coil, I mean, that thing is stuck on there pretty good. I think the coil is just a bunch of rust and stuff on it. I think it's falling apart, not working properly. Alright, so I may not be too out of luck, actually. This is a 24-584-36 is the number that I put in. I don't know if y'all can see that number. It's the middle one on this ignition coil. What are they called? Phaeton is what's on the inside of it. They're the same two coils on both sides. I thought, somebody can correct me, I thought that the 12-volt ignition coils have like what looks like a module wire, like a 3-prong wire going into them. So this may just be a regular coil setup on this from what I'm seeing. I'm not 100% sure. I do know that the pretty sure the 12-volt coils are discontinued, and I found these actually on a pair on Amazon. I know, using aftermarket parts, but for I think $31 for the pair. So they're worth a shot. We know we have one good one on this side, and my friend said that the right one always was the one that decided it wanted to give up the ghost after it got hot. Classic coil issue right there. So I'm willing to take the risk. Number one, because of the condition of these coils, and number two, because they're like $30. So we'll see what happens with them. We'll let them come in, and if we can get a good successful fix and mow out of this, like cut for a good 20 minutes or so without having any issues, then I would feel comfortable enough to continue on with the deck. Tell me if y'all would do something different besides what I'm doing. Like I said, I do know that this cylinder was the one that was going down. So, and it was related to operating temperature, because it won't do it when it's cold, but after you get it running and cutting for a while and get the engine nice and hot, he said no matter the temperature, so that kind of tells me that it's kind of on the fritz a little bit more. We'll get those two coils in, gap them correctly, see if we got anything better in terms of running ability here. So we're making progress here. I took the deck over to my parents. My dad welded it for me. He's got a lot more welding resources than I do around here, and this is what the patch job was. Obviously, I've got to go get some Cub Cadet yellow. I tried to get an off yellow, and it is nowhere near what it needs to be. So we'll get Cub Cadet yellow. We'll fix that. We'll likely put a deck belt on it because this one's starting to show a little bit of wear. One of the other issues that I think I showed y'all was the parking brake, and that issue ended up being something simple after I got under the mower and found that this bolt right here was missing. So I put that bolt on and it fixed that. I'll show that to you in just a second. But one other thing I wanted to show you all under here was that the drive belt, he did mention that it seemed like it was eating drive belts for some reason. I don't know why, but this one's pretty eaten up too. It does seem like it's a little bit loose, so I'm wondering if it's just flopping around and catching on something. I think he got a Kevlar belt. It may be an aftermarket belt, but he said he tried an OEM belt and still had the same issue. It actually wore out quicker. So I'm not 100% sure. I don't see anything obvious. I've taken the belt off and things like that, and don't really see anything obvious with it. But park brake is fixed, which is really nice. So park brake, boom, push it in, pull it up, and it releases. Can't ask for much more than that. Cruise control, that's working. Just got to get it right. These parking brakes are always just terrible on these things. But I wasn't able to get it the last time I used it. And what was happening was that bolt I showed you, the plate was flexing enough to where it wasn't allowing the where it locks in down there to come out. So, like I said, we're making progress. First order of business, I'm gonna, once these coils get in, which I've ordered, I'm going to put those on, slap everything together, just run everything across the yard, probably a good 20-30 minutes. Make sure there's no issues with it running wise before I put, which is what's probably going to be $60 or so into these belts. I don't want to turn this into a money pit. Although it was a free mower, I don't want to have like $400 in it to sell it. So trying to keep it about 150 to 2 if I can get that. So that's the update on this. When I get the coils in, we'll slap them on, see how she runs, go for test drive, and then we'll go on replacing belts. Well, it's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be a lot better, that patch. With the Cub Cadet yellow, obviously we're talking about 17-year-old paint versus new paint. It's going to look different. The rest of the deck, I mean, I could paint. We'll see. Anyways, just wanted to show you that I fixed that. Because the rest of the paint's okay. It's just a couple areas that are peeling. And so what I'm going to do now is I've got the coils in. They're all in the Amazon bag back there. All you got to do is mount them. Make sure you mount them the correct side up. Pretty sure that I think the things point down. You'll be able to see because you'll be able to see it, and I'll show you. But whenever you have the magnet pass by, which is right here, you're going to want to have them to be around a business card width away, so you can shove a business card in, or I've done them enough that I just eyeball them and they usually work good. I'll clean that magnet off too a little bit. Like I said, it's losing one spark on this side. He put some, looks like some spark plug anti-seize, or not anti-seize, but boot protector there. And a couple other things. But I'm going to get these coils on, and hopefully we'll be in good shape after that. We'll give it a good run. I'll put the deck and everything back on and see what we can do. Here are the new coils. I wanted to show them to y'all. Hopefully I don't regret doing the Amazon ones. I saw mixed reviews, but you know, most of the time people are going to review it if the product does not work and not if it does. So keep that in mind. Somebody said they had to modify them in order to get them to work on here. They do go up because, silly me, didn't see earlier that I still had the left side coil on. So we're going to slide these into place. Actually, this one may go this way because of the way that needs to go. So let's see. No, I don't think so. I just think we've got to wrap this wire around a little bit. The colors are harder because of the magnet, or the flywheel, is not flush all the way around. You just have the magnet, so we've got to figure that out. But essentially, just pop them in. We're going to put these screws in here. Oh, we're good. These are going to line up perfectly. Hopefully. Oh, I see what they're talking about. So one of these mounting bolts on these aftermarket coils is a little bit too wide, if you can see that, for that plastic part. So, because the coil's a little bit bigger, so I'm going to have to either grind down the mounting bolt or do something when it comes to that in order to get it on. We'll see what we end up having to do here, but that's the basic premise. You just put it on, gap it with a business card, which is probably the best idea in this case, so that it's gapped correctly. And then you just put it on and voila. So I put it all back together. I went ahead and put the hood cover on it. I test ran it right before I did that. Save y'all a little bit of time and a little bit of frustration if this didn't work. So far it is, which is a good thing. Always wondered why it's got a car type hood on it, but I guess so that you can put attachments and stuff on it and still access the hood. Smart idea. Let me crank it up. We'll pull it out here. I can't engage the blade yet because the paint's still drying from where I painted the deck, but we can do that tomorrow. It kind of stinks because the day's abnormally warm here for February when I'm filming this, but still. ran fine before, but I knew that it had a misfire, so I'm not going to sit there and try it as is. He said it wasn't related to temperature, it was related more to runtime. So tomorrow when that paint dries, I'm going to go out and take this thing for a ride, see if that fixes any, or see if it acts up, and if it doesn't, we'll move forward, put some belts on it, be done with this. If it does, we got some work to do, unfortunately. Alright, so we're about 30 minutes of cutting grass, or whatever is out here right now in February, and no hiccups, no issues at all. Running good. Running really good, actually. So that's good to see. What I'll do, we're just going to make sure that it'll start back up. Starter's a little weak, but all these Kohlers are like that for some reason. I'm satisfied with that. So again, it never did it on my watch, but my friend, he's had it for 8 years or whatever. Wanted to move on, had the coil issue, didn't really want to deal with it since he's gotten his money's worth out of it. I don't blame him. Amazon coils for the win. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. These work. Remember, the reviews a lot of times are when they don't work, because people are mad. People usually, if they work, don't go back and review them unless they have an incentive to. But so we're good. It's always a good thing to see. We got the battery in it. I'll double, triple check, make sure the battery's charging like it's supposed to here in just a second. And once I get the belts in, I'll rejoin, or I'll let y'all rejoin me, and we'll swap the belts out. The belts look pretty easy. They're probably just going to be a little pricey because they're the 5/8 inch belts as opposed to 1/2 inch belts. But once I get all that in, we'll put them on. Happy, really happy. I'm surprised, or I'm happy that the coils seem to have worked here on this thing. So, a few days later now, time to replace the belts on this thing. I am going to take the deck belt, or the deck completely off, since I have to replace the drive belt on this. Some of these are shaft drive, apparently. Even the GT1554s. But ours is belt. Wish it was shaft. Either way, here are your two belts. Again, these are either reputable aftermarket companies like Oregon, Stinge, Rotary, or get MTD genuine parts. That's all you need to use on almost all mowers. Some mowers you can get by with generic belts. MTDs, you cannot. So don't even try. 9540642 or 7540642 is your deck belt here. And then your drive belt's going to be 754 or 954 0349. It's a 1/2 by 79 5/16. But these belts are usually made a little bit differently than regular V belts, and also that 5/16 makes a difference. So I'll take the deck back off. Again, it's just your 3 mounting points on the back here, or your 2 mounting points on the back. We slide it up in the front there, and then just slide it out, a combination of turning the wheel and all that good stuff. So when I get that off, I'll show you the deck belt routing. We'll put the deck belt on, I'll show you the drive belt, and then we'll be done. So about 2 minutes later, deck's off, slid out. Here's your deck belt routing. So I think I may have already shown y'all. PTO clutch to the left side pulley under this guard, over to the right pulley, back to idler pulley number 1, deck spindle in the middle, and then your tension pulley right there. You can do this with it still being on the mower. You can take these guards off, and then you have a 3/8 inch socket, or you can put a 3/8 inch ratchet on that, and you can take the tension off just like that, as opposed to doing what I'm doing. But like I said, we're getting underneath the mower to replace the drive belt as well. So now I'm underneath the mower. There's the front, and then we're going to work our way back. So the belt goes around this side of this pulley on the left side, and then goes on the inside right there. Outside of here, you can tell by the flat versus the V. Back to the hydro pulley back here. You can cheat by getting off the hydro pulley using the fan fins, but you got to be careful. It's a little tight back there. After you get, you know, the belt off of these three, it's really not too difficult. I'm trying to figure out what's eating this belt up. It could just be a cheap belt, honestly. It looks like whatever it is getting eat up right here. So you can see a bunch of rubber and stuff. But I don't see how, because it's not really rubbing up against anything. Unless it's rubbing up against that pulley right. Well, no. I think the vibration and cheat belt and stuff. Either way, here in the front, unfortunately there's no way to get around having to take this PTO clutch off, because in the back here, there's not enough clearance to get the back of the belt through this area right here. And then also on this side, that PTO bracket's actually attached to the side of the frame, and so there's no way to get it around there either. So this clutch is going to come down. I think it's a 9/16 or either a 5/8. We'll have to pull that down, and then this belt should be able to come right off. I can either pull it out the front or out the back. You don't have to, I don't believe you have to do anything with this plate, because the steering shaft, it does not run in between the steering shaft, thankfully. It runs to one side, the left side. And this plate right here isn't really, it's just holding the steering and the brake and stuff on. It doesn't really have anything to do with removing to access the belt or anything like that, thankfully, because that gets to be a job. I'll take this PTO clutch off. I'll show you the configuration of the drive belt when I get it back on. Drive belt off. You can see this old drive belt was done. Like I said, I don't know what's eating them up. I know he's been through a few of them. I don't know if this is a generic V belt or what, but I saw some markings on it somewhere here, and I'm trying to find them for y'all. It kind of looks like a generic belt. Here's some of the markings. Right there and right there. You can see all the wears happening on the inside of the belt. So here's the new one, and you can see the difference between the two. Number one, in the thickness of the belt, the one on the left you can see is a lot thicker. And then the V on the inside, the MTD Vs seem like they have a flatter inside to them than just a regular V belt, and you can kind of see that on this, even though this belt's pretty trashed and has been eaten up a little bit. So this should work a lot better, hopefully. I keep doing an inspection, and I don't really see any reason why, and the PTO clutch is off now, by the way. I don't see any reason why this belt should be eating itself up. There is a tiny bit of damage on that pulley right there, but nothing that I can't see like that would cause that many issues with drive belts. So I just think, because it's the drive belt, they usually don't eat drive belts up. You can see where the rubber's just kind of caked there. I just think we had a cheap belt on here. Hopefully, I'm gonna drive it around a little bit just to make sure we're all good before we send it, though. But I'll put this new belt on, both the deck and the drive. I'll show you the drive before I put the deck belt back on. and we'll go try it out and hopefully be done with this thing. I hate that it's so hard to see, but I'm going to do the best I can to show you. I got the belt on, and everything seems to be fine. But the thing is, it was rubbing, I don't know if I can show y'all, right up there where it meets this little plate. And so what I did is I took an angle grinder and grinded it down some so that it's not right on that plate as much. And hopefully that'll help prevent this thing from breaking and rubbing and stuff. Like I said, I think it was just because it didn't have an OEM belt on it. So now I've got the OEM belt on it. We're just going to cruise around with it. I'm going to put the deck back on and hopefully be done. I'll show you the deck belt orientation and all that stuff before I put the covers back on. I did end up having to take the covers off to get the belt off of over top of the spindle threads. So I'll put that back on. Hopefully we'll be finally doing a final test of this very soon. Alright guys, so we got it all back together. Deck and everything works fine. Y'all seen how everything works. It's working fine. It's just those belts. I'm just like, I don't know. The new deck belt's fine. It just seems a little loose for some reason. But maybe that's the way that it's supposed to be. Just because it's got such a long way to travel, you can't get it so tight. Underneath, looking at the drive belt, I don't know if I can show it to y'all on camera, but it seems like it's doing okay from what I can tell. So hopefully it'll remain like that. It's just kind of a mystery. Like, why is it eating the drive belts? Or the pulleys are spinning freely? I think he was just putting some cheap drive belts on it. It just wasn't working out very well. Just because they couldn't handle the constant turning and load and whatnot. I'm not sure. Either way, I am done with this mower, and we will now wrap this video up. So that's everything on this Cub Cadet. A little bit of a process to get everything back together, but we got it done. It's working fine, and hopefully it'll be a good mower for somebody. Realistically, even though this is a big garden tractor, it's maybe a $700, $750 mower. Nothing crazy, nothing ridiculous. It's got about 330 some hours on it. Obviously, we've got a patch deck and stuff. I might list it for $8 or $850 and take $7 to $754. I don't have a lot of money in it aside from belts, so I have to take that into consideration. I need to just get it moving along so that I can work on a bunch of other projects and stuff I have out here. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think may have been causing the eating drive belt situation. I'm not completely sure myself, but whatever it is, it seemed like it happened over, the course of a year or two. Maybe this mower is just hard on belt. I don't know. If y'all do, feel free to let me know in the comments section. But yeah, I think we did all right with the coils and belts. Basically, I think has cured this, and hopefully it'll be a good mower for somebody after they purchase it and use it. 54-inch deck, they can get a lot of stuff, a lot of territory covered pretty quickly. But thank y'all again for watching. I hope y'all enjoyed the video, and catch you on the next one. Take care.